matters to us. We are committed to bringing you quality programming from a variety of different sources to bring you relevant information so you can have power, because information is power. So then with that, you'll have tools to change your life for a better, healthy lifestyle. Welcome everyone. My name is Anna Marie Sinatra, and I'm hoping you already know that. My business is Sinatra Solutions, and I am an executive coach, a trainer, a speaker, and I love hearing from you. I love speaking to your organizations and empowering you in person, right up front and close and personal. So please do give me a call. Check out my website. The information's at the bottom of the screen. And let me know also what kind of programming you want to hear, because I really do read all those emails that you sent. I'm grateful for them. And yes, if you're recognizing my voice, that is me you're hearing on WBLK 93.7 FM every other Sunday morning. Changing the atmosphere, yet another tool to help to empower you in your life. I'm so excited today because just in a few minutes I'm going to tell you about the wonderful guest that has some great information, a variety of different ways to help to empower you, to reduce stress. You know what, I'm not going to tell you too much. I'm going to make you stay tuned in so that you got those pens and paper ready and you could take notes once again, because that information is power. And you know, before we get started, you know, I always love to recognize our sponsors, because our sponsors are those who keep us on the air. They're committed to the community, such as Western New York MRI, who remains a continued corporate sponsor. They have locations right in downtown Buffalo, in Kenmore, in Lockport, and there's a few other ones too. So you keep watching, because we go on location and show you their state-of-the-art, cutting-edge diagnostic testing, imagery, wonderful machinery. So when you do find yourself in a situation where you need that kind of help, you know that Western New York has the best. And you know, I always like to thank Melinda from Renaissance Hair Salon. She keeps me beautiful with all those natural products. Again, you know how I'm always talking about that. Only natural products goes on my hair, my face, my body, because it's equally as important what we visualize, what we view, what we're putting in our body, what we listen to, what we eat, and what we put on our body. And you don't have to even go to specialty stores, so forget about that excuse, because many of the major chains have natural products. So start looking next time you go shopping. Begin to make a difference in that way too. And we have a few more wonderful sponsors too that I get to tell you about. Webtastics, you know, they're state-of-the-art, cutting-edge technology people, and if you've called to get my video e-newsletter, you know about them already, so you'll see their information too. But remember, anybody you want to know about, you can also contact me. And the International Coach Federation, I know you've been enjoying watching several of the different coaches come on and give you some really great tips on how to better your lifestyle, your thinking, your acting, your planning, your goal setting, all that great stuff. And last but definitely not least, we have Lydia from La Face and Body by Lydia at Mr. Frank's Day Spa. Her information will be up there too, where she does, get this, non-surgical facelifts. How about that? So you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars, and you don't have to go through surgery and be cut. She's got a way that she's going to tell you about. We'll be having a program at her day spa coming up soon where you'll learn more about that. But you also, in the meantime, can call her or email her at the information that you'll see. She also does some body treatments too, some detoxifying, and she's got a whole brochure filled with all kinds of things. So make sure you contact our sponsors when you're looking for, you know, that one special thing that you want to know about. Remember the people that you've seen on this show. Keep those pens and those papers handy, because this is good information. These are the people who are supporting this program so that you get the information first so you can begin to make those changes. And today, who's in part sponsoring this program today, I'm so excited. I went to her website and learned lots of great information. You know, I always tell you, I get so blessed by doing this program because I get to interview the people and meet with them and talk with them. But you can too when you call her number or visit her website. Her name is Reverend Tara Welty, and her business is Great Blue Heron Healing Arts. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for, in part, sponsoring this program today and coming down on this day and sharing some great information.
It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself and some of the things that you're doing.
That's a tricky question. All of the work that I do is based in the 5 elements. This is sort of very ancient theory based in Taoist theory. So we're working with the 5 elements as the Chinese have been working with them for over probably about 4,000 years now. And there are different energetic techniques that I use to work with that, but what I love about it is it's a very simple yet very sophisticated sort of body of theory to work with, and it can include both the very simple aspects of our life and the deeply complex, and it speaks to all of that.
And you know, one of the things we were talking, 2 things that I want to make sure that you do so that we frame this program so people can get a good feel of who you are. I'd like you to tell them a little bit about your credentials and some of the boards that you're on, and because your bio is quite impressive when I read it. And then also the distinction, because sometimes, you know, when our viewers are hearing something new for the first time, remember, you're hearing it new, so it might seem like, oh, what's this, you know, stuff, it's out there, it's alternative, whatever. It's only that way because you haven't heard it before. Remember what I talk about when I talk about our minds. So we have to open up ourselves to new possibilities, and they're new for you, but as you said, they're ancient techniques.
Right.
So start off by telling a little bit about your background.
Okay. So my initial training was in plant spirit medicine, which is a 5-element based body of work, combines 5-element theory with shamanic techniques, and obviously shamanic techniques go back even further back to sort of, you know, the dawn of time, 8 to 10,000 years.
Wow.
So that was my initial training. That was roughly 12 years ago that I did that. And the moment that I finished that training, my teacher, Elliot Cowan, who was the man who brought plant spirit medicine as a body of work to the U.S., he said, you know, if you really want to, you know, carry on your study of the 5 elements, he said, go check out this well-known acupuncturist and teacher, Nikki Bilton. And I've been studying 5-element theory. I probably have, 1,300 hours of continuing practitioner development.
Time.
It is a long time,
Yes.
but I love it. I mean, this is the thing. I really love this work. So for me to put that time into studying and building my skills in the 5-element diagnostic, you know, realm is pure pleasure for me. So I've been building skills on that level, and I've been trained as a Jinshin Jitsu practitioner. Jinshin Jitsu is a Japanese energetic healing technique. You know, in Jinshin Jitsu, they would not so much talk about the 5 elements, but both Japan and China, their ancient theories and techniques are very allied, and they talk to each other quite a bit. There was a lot of sort of interface between those 2 cultures in terms of how they viewed the body, how they viewed energy moving in the body. So they're very synchronous in the way the 5-element and the Japanese techniques work.
And you know what's interesting, when people first heard about massage therapy and chiropractic, it wasn't even recognized by health insurance companies.
Right.
And now we know that if some of these services are paid for by your insurance company, and some of them you get a discount. And so I think it's only a matter of time until you start to see some of this come, because it's not only something that you can do to treat, but it's also preventative as well, would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a really good point, because that really highlights the difference between Western views of health and Eastern views of health. And, you know, to me, one of the biggest differences is in the East, you actively cultivate health. It's not something that just kind of happens. You know, it's as if you said to me, I don't understand why I'm not fit, you know, and I would say, well, do you go to the gym, or do you have a type of exercise you like? And you're like, well, no. And it's like, well, you know, what are we doing to build our fitness? It's the same thing. It's like, you know, certainly in the East, just through your daily living, it's not this huge gross effort. You know, by the way you eat, by the company you keep, by the things that you do in life, you actively build health. And that's very much a focus of Eastern philosophies. You know, they absolutely look at what do you do once the horses run out of the barn, but you work on things before that.
So viewers who are watching today, your typical person who might come to you might be someone who's in a crisis, or someone who's hearing you and saying, well, let's just explore some of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's very accurate. That's what I find is that there's a real mix of people. There's some people who come and they're really looking to, the best way to put it is to maximize their potential, which is what the possibility is.
That's really nice. See,
Yeah.
I work with their minds by maximizing the potential with our thinking process, and you're doing it energetically as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I've been a recipient of acupuncture. I'm quite the fan. I feel completely different with utilizing that for a variety of different things. So what's ginseng? You got to say a little slower because it's 3 words.
It is.
I know because I read the bio. So it's when you're going, well, what did she say?
Right.
It's 3 words.
It is. It's Jin, Shin, Jitsu.
And tell us what that is.
Well, a lot of people are familiar with Jitsu because they've heard of Jiu-Jitsu, which is a martial art. So the simple explanation is Jitsu is the Japanese word for art. So Jinshin Jitsu is the art of the creator, the art of the divine, as manifest in the compassionate man. And it's a very simple technique. You use light touch on the body. It's not a manipulative technique. We're not looking at massage work or any sort of working with tissue. It's working with key energy points in the body. So let's say if you came to see me for Jinshin Jitsu, you are fully clothed, you're sort of lying comfortably, and I'm just using light touch to access the key energetic points in the body.
And that does?
The best way to describe it is, our bodies are deeply complex electrical, for lack of a better term, systems. If you want to think of it, you think of the way your house has this wonderfully intricate wiring, and you've got circuit breakers and panels and switches.
Yes.
Our bodies are really no different. And so when there's a level of stress, it could be physical stress, you could fall down the stairs,
Car accidents?
car accidents, mental, emotional stress, anything like
That's
that.
a very good point.
It's like if the energy starts to jam up, the key points that we work with, they're called safety energy locks in Jinshin Jitsu. They're like circuit breakers. They will shut down as the body's way of saving us. Our body has all these myriad miraculous ways that it's doing its very best at every moment in time to take care of us. It really is. So it's still doing that, even energetically. So one of the lovely things about Jinshin is by holding the points, what happens, it's not about I'm not sort of changing people's energetic systems or making things happen. So what it does is it allows the person's energy system to return to its rightful homeostasis at the correct pace for that person. It's the best way to think about it. We talk about in Jinshin, we call it jumper cabling. In a way, I'm providing a potential for it to happen, but the person that I'm working with energetically, their body knows way, way, way better than I ever would.
That's beautiful.
How this should happen and at the speed, because some people, some of us move very quickly and some of us don't, and that's absolutely fine.
Everybody at their own pace.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting. You like read my mind, because I was sitting here thinking, what kind of metaphor could we use to, explain to the viewers exactly? And I was thinking of a few things, and they weren't fitting. And when you said jumper cables, I got it. You're like the battery might be stuck, whatever, a cell or two is down,
Right.
and you plug in your jumper cables, which is connected to you from your training and whatever you're doing energetically and meditatively, I would assume, and whatever, and you're helping to then help that energy to move.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's I think the best way is sort of providing the potential for things to, for the body to revert to its energetic homeostasis.
Now, you also work with, if I can shift to another thing that we were talking about before too, was, let me get this one, because this was very interesting to me. I was telling you that I had studied a lot with Native American
Right.
Healing modalities and things, and you were calling it, was it the 5-element energetic healing, or no, it's the plant?
You were probably thinking about plant spirit medicine.
That's the one, plants.
Right.
But you do.
Right.
You have to help guide the host here too, because you have so
okay.
many wonderful things that I want to make sure that we talk about
Right,
today.
right.
The plant
spirit medicine.
spirit medicine.
So plant spirit medicine is 5-element based. So the 5-element piece comes in terms of ascertaining what it is that the person is in need of. So I should probably backtrack a little bit
Okay.
and give you the 5-element piece. So within 5-element theory, we look at the idea that everything in the world has all 5 elements within it. It must. Otherwise, it couldn't exist. It couldn't manifest on this earth without all 5 elements.
And the 5 elements are?
They are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water.
Got that? Taking those notes?
In different systems, they
Yes.
may talk about space or air, but they're generally, that's fairly agreed upon. So even within us as human beings, we have all 5. They're absolutely present. But we look at it in terms of the fact that you have one, they sort of line up in order. So you may be fire as your first element, and then you'll have all the others in a particular order, and you're born with it. This doesn't change. In a way, it's kind of the divine's toolbox. It's you're given the best set of tools you can possibly have to, whether you want to call it maximize your potential in this lifetime, whether you want to talk about in terms of reaching enlightenment, it doesn't matter. It's like this is the divine's gift to you. These are your 5, and this is how they line up. So a lot of the work we do is in trying to work out with each person how do those 5 line up? What is their particular gift? Because what happens is the primary element is what will struggle. This is where we have our greatest strengths, and it's where we fall down on a minute-by-minute basis. So with all 5 element work, a lot of what we're doing is supporting that primary element, because quite honestly, if you support that primary element, the homeostasis, all the other little things that are happening, and the little glitches and the little jigaboos, they will resolve because the person's sort of core element has the strength and support that it needs.
And how did the plant come in there? Because I think when I was reading, I was, again, my mind tries to do the looking at the whole, like a metaphor of what that would mean.
Right.
And I'm thinking about how plants, a lot of us utilize vitamins and minerals and different things that come from plant-based. And so I'm wondering, do you actually utilize something, or tell us a little bit more in detail?
So in terms of the plant aspect, this is where sort of the more First Nation lineage comes in. It's working with the spirits of plants on a sort of more shamanic relationship. So I don't use tinctures or herbs. It literally is building a relationship with the spirit of particular plants. And I work with the native plants because these are the plants that live in our area. These are the plants that sort of bring the healing to the people that live in that area. So if you lived in California per se, it's like you would be looking at different plants, because there need to be different plants in different areas to sort of hold the balance for that space. So for someone living in California, they would be working with different plants or plant spirits than you would in Western New York, because we have the plants here that have the potential for healing for us. So it's very much building, it's all about building relationship. It's about building relationship with the different spirits of different plants. And because the plants tend to ally themselves in an elemental fashion, they'd be more of a fire plant or more of an earth plant or a water plant. Once I have a sense of what the person needs in terms of the elements, then I can sort of ask that the appropriate plant bring the healing to them. So it's actually the spirits of the plants that are doing the work. Once again, I'm merely an interface is the best way to put it.
So when someone comes and they're in the process of this treatment or this experience, what would that actually look like? Because again, you're not using needles as an acupuncture, and you're not actually doing anything like it is in martial arts. It's kind of like this new thoughts for me too. So I'm trying to get some visuals, so that I can, because when I understand, I know you're understanding too.
Right. So when somebody comes to see me, the initial part is we spend a little bit of time talking, and what I'm doing is using my Oriental diagnostic skills. So I'm looking at the person. I'm sort of looking at them, seeing the color, listening to the sound of their voice. I work a lot with the Oriental pulse taking. There are 12 different pulses. There are 28 different pulse qualities, which gives you incredibly detailed information about the energy in the body. So we spend time doing that. And then in terms of what people actually experience, they're once again lying comfortably, fully dressed, and they're just experiencing light touch from me, because whether it's Jinshin, with me working with safety energy locks, or working with the spirits of plants, my hands are the interface between the energies and the person.
Like the jumper cables.
They're the jumper cables.
Like the jumper cables.
Just like the jumper cables.
How does it feel to be a jumper cable?
It's great. I love it. You know, it's. I mean, what I have to say, you know, it's like what I have to be clear. It's not. I'm not channeling. You know, there's. I'm absolutely conscious, absolutely aware, focused at all times. You know, so it's, for me, it's a wonderful opportunity to be very, very, very present with someone.
You know, I understand that because as a coach, when I'm talking to someone, my key is so listening so intensely.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like intuitiveness as well as just learning, understanding people and behavior from all the studying and all the techniques and all the different things that I've done. So based on my training, gives me the capability to be able to do that. So I could really get that. Your training then gives you the capability to know through the conversation, through the intuition of a certain part of it, is whether the intuition is attached to the knowledge from your training, kind of gives you the idea of what avenue you have to take for that particular person.
Well, I think it, you know, you use the word intuition both with what you do and in terms of what I'm doing. You know, I think when you develop your skills and your senses, when you work at something with great, you know, effort and great passion, it's like, I think it looks like intuition. I think what you do looks like intuition to other people, but it is really, it's you listening very intently, and it's you paying attention very closely. And that's what allows both of us to see and hear and experience things that are absolutely there, but that other people might miss. And it's purely, I think it's a skill that anyone can develop.
I believe that too. I believe that too. If here's another great tool, is just being present in the moment. You know, like not having one foot in the past and one foot in the future, but living in the present moment and having that awareness and keenly focusing in. You're everything. And I'm not sure if it is a little bit of intuition and the training and plus all the years of experience. But a good example is, you know, when I'm coaching an executive, it wouldn't be the same way that I'm coaching somebody who might be just coming out of a marriage, a breakup, or someone who, such as yourself, I work with a lot of complementary therapeutic people. Some of them are RNs, and they've gotten into some complementary therapies, and they want to know how to cross the Eastern, Western, you know, how to talk to the doctors and how to enroll them in these, so that they don't think it's woo-woo, I think was your word, which we want to go there too. So it's really important. And so here's a key for success when you're having conversations with people, is that you don't just speak from your own knowing and understanding, but it's really intently listening to the other person and then speaking to them on that level, meeting them wherever they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about that, because again, when you hear something new, I know right away you're going, what is this? What is she saying? I don't get it. I still don't get. What are you talking about over there? So we're going to break it down just a little bit more, because just because something's not known to you doesn't mean that it's not ancient, you know, and doesn't mean that there aren't people all over the world using these different modalities and getting great results from them too. So I was enjoying that conversation, and one of your things we were talking about was woo-woo versus woo.
Right.
That intrigued me. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, there's woo is actually the Chinese word for shaman. So if you look at the history of acupuncture and you know, the history of 5-element theory, and you know, out of that came Jin Shin Jitsu and other techniques. You know, originally the shamans were the medicine men, you know, certainly within a lot of our culture, we don't necessarily have an appreciation of what it is to be a medicine man or a medicine woman, and you know, medicine being something that holds great sort of power within it. But it's a very rigorous path. You know, not just anyone goes down that road because you're asked to make great sacrifice in order to take on great responsibility. You know, so I think that's, you know, versus woo-woo. You know, a lot of people talk about, they ask me, do you see auras? And I have to be really honest, you know, I don't see auras. I don't know what you're thinking. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful I don't know what people are thinking. It's really a blessing.
Yes, it is, because being a trained coach, many times I know what you're thinking.
That's right.
I do. Right. Trust me, I do. I'm like, wow. But it's not
Best
woo.
not to know.
It's just trained.
It's training.
Understanding people's body language and
right.
behaviors.
So this goes back to what we were just saying. It's like things can be sort of new or unusual or sound slightly esoteric or out there, but it's like, whether it's acupuncture or Jinshin-jitsu, these are deeply rigorous bodies of work that require sort of great training and great love and passion to delve into them and to sort of really use these different techniques to their greatest advantage. I mean, I think you'd find that if you looked at someone who's the pastor of a church, it's like it is their their passion, their devotion to their faith and to their flock. That's what makes them into an extraordinary
Absolutely.
caretaker. So I think that's always the bottom line. Whether you're a butcher or
No matter
a
what it is
fabulous
you're doing.
mechanic, which should be
Exactly.
appreciated way more than they are.
Yes,
that is the bottom
mechanics
line.
are great.
Right. So
They keep us moving.
Yeah.
Unbelievably so. We're coming towards the end of our program, and I'm just wondering if there is anything that we haven't touched on that you want to make sure that you briefly mention.
There is one thing that I'd love to mention because I'm not actually from Buffalo, and I never expected to show up here, but I'm absolutely delighted. I've completely fallen in love with it. But I actually came up here because of there's an acupuncture college that's going to be opening just over the bridge, just over the Peace Bridge in Fort Erie. And so you and everyone else are going to be seeing more and more acupuncture and how acupuncture can really change people's lives.
How exciting.
Coming to this part of the world. So I think this is really, really exciting.
And you have all this information on your website, so people
I have
can
links
visit.
to the college, absolutely.
I noticed when you first go to the first page, it doesn't look like there's a lot of things to click around. It's so simple, which I love, and you go to the front page, and I almost thought, where do I go from here? I didn't even know where to go. But down at the bottom, there's a place where you click, and then you come to nice and simply laid out all the different possibilities that you might want to explore and understand and learn about. So it's a great website.
Thank you.
It's a great website, so I'm encouraging everybody to plug in and learn a little bit about it. And you do classes and different things, so they can plug into the website to learn about those, or they can call you.
And I do a monthly newsletter. So my email is on the website. People can email me or call me and say, I'd love to get your newsletter.
That's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you so much for co-sponsoring this show today. I really appreciate you coming on and bringing all this great information to all of our viewers today. So I hope you took your pens and your papers and you wrote down all this wonderful information. Once again, the time just flew. There's so much more that you want to know about Reverend Tara. So you make sure that you visit her website, make sure that you patronize our sponsors, because we're here to make a difference in your life, to give you information, because that information is power, and that power will help you to have a longer, happier, healthier life. So keep watching, because your health matters.